Hey, it's me, Riker. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new Awakened Mauler hero, Safiya, Maestro of Power. Now, this hero wears cloth-based gear, is part of the support class, and their primary role is to provide a significant amount of secondary and primary buffs for your allies. So let's have a look at her skills. Her ultimate skill, Cosmic End. Safiya releases a Star Destroyer. This is a little obelisk that forms above her that deals continuous damage and control effects to the enemies. From the Void Realm, dealing AoE damage to all enemies, while Star Destroyer is focusing, effects that occur on the battlefield cause it to generate additional control. This is a stun effect that lasts for 1 second, or debuff effects when dealing damage. When entering battle, Safiya hands out a mask to allied heroes, altering the way they receive energy. So this mask comes in two forms: the regular mask, which is a little icon that appears above the allied hero, or a ember mask, which is a mask with a ruby inside of the specific mask. Now, this will provide certain buff characteristics and will be upgraded to the ember mask once she has gone through all of her abilities. Now, the mask, what does it do? Now, this mask when she gives it to her allies, prevents them from receiving energy from anyone else other than Safiya. So essentially, she acts as a battery that supercharges your allies and allows them to get significant amounts of energy at the start of battle and after the end of the ultimate skill. The allied hero of the highest attack rating possesses an Ember Mask, increase the damage they deal and enabling them to steal enemies' energy and contribute it to Safiya. So the amount that your allies are able to steal is 120 points of energy. So if this ally has a significantly high attack speed, this will allow them to trigger this multiple times throughout battle and allow them to generate a massive amount of energy from themselves and for Safiya as well. Her next ability, Safiya no longer spends energy to use her ultimate skill, but instead distributes energy evenly among allied heroes and increases health loss caused by burning ambition. So what this means is when Safiya reaches her maximum energy of 1000 points, she'll immediately use her ultimate. However, she will not spend any energy points but distribute all of that energy amongst the team members. So if your allies require energy to deal massive amounts of damage or provide significant amounts of secondary effects to themselves and their allies, this will be a major benefit in how quickly they generate energy. So let's have a look at the next ability. Ember Erosion. Safiya deals damage to all enemies facing her. Each time she wields this skill, it reduces the duration of most buffs she receives thereafter, while her dissolve increases. So her dissolve can be increased by 40 points permanently each time she uses the specific skill. Level 2, enemies hit by this skill, Ember Erosion, also suffer a certain degree of erosion. So this is a damage over time effect, reducing most buffs of enemies for several seconds. Increases the duration of enemies' erosion. The level 4, while enemies suffer erosion, the duration of most of their buffs is further reduced. So this is extremely powerful, especially if you're fighting against enemies who have buffs that allow them to have more healing, more shields. This will reduce that effect and allow your team to be stronger while dealing damage to them. And the level 5, each time the skill Ember Erosion hits a target, Safiya's attack rating and health loss triggered by the mask are increases. So this will allow her to deal more damage to the enemies while dealing damage with the specific skill Ember Erosion. Her next ability, Extreme Domain. Now this is a little pyramid, or in this case an obelisk. So Safiya conjures an obelisk domain in the allied half of the battlefield. So this is half of the battlefield. Within the domain, all allied heroes gain tenacity, so this will be 35 points of tenacity, and while this skill is being used, Safiya is immune to control effects. So as long as Safiya is alive, she'll constantly be immune to any enemy control effects, and within the domain, allied heroes that possess Ember Erosion are immune to control effects when their energy percentage is higher than 60%. And the level 2 upgrade increases allies' attack rating in the domain by 40%. And Safiya is immune to control effects when her energy percentage is higher than 60%. This is a massive buff that she can provide for her allies. And the level 3 upgrade, if an enemy hero dies in the obelisk domain, Safiya recovers their attack rating, defense rating, and their remaining energy and distributes them evenly to allied heroes. The maximum recovered amount cannot exceed 150% of the corresponding initial attributes, so she can even supercharge your allies even further with her other abilities that she can provide. So let's have a look at her next ability, Guardian's Gift. Allies in obelisk domain periodically receive a shield. The shield's value is based on the attributes of the enemy with the highest max health for 5 seconds. So she'll constantly be providing this shield, giving them a significant amount of durability for your allies and defense, especially if you're in events that restrict healing. This constant shield that she'll be providing will mitigate a massive amount of damage for your allies. And level 2, if a shield granted by the skill Guardian's Gift is broken, the value of the shield is further thereafter increased by a total amount of 15% and can be increased all the way up to 90% of the shield's initial value. And the level 3, heroes with Ember Masks, so this is the ruby jewel within them, can receive all effects within a domain even when they are outside. So that is when they are outside your allied half of the battlefield. For allied heroes with shields granted by the Guardian's Gift skill, the health lost caused by burning ambition is further increased by 50%. So let's have a look at her special ability, Burning Ambition, which is a passive. When an ally uses an active skill other than their ultimate, they will trigger a mask or ember mask that attacks the enemy hero with the highest attack rating. So this allows you to focus down one specific enemy and allows you to do massive amounts of damage to that specific enemy target. And this can be fantastic, especially if you are fighting against boss-like enemies, causing them to lose health based on their attack rating of Safiya and the allied hero corresponding to the mask. When the enemy hero is hit, Safiya recovers additional energy and any excess energy is distributed evenly among allied heroes. So what this means is the more attacks that Safiya can get off through her haste or other abilities, the more energy she can provide for herself and for her allied heroes. So let's have a look at how she does in battle. So we're going to start off with the training dummy over here. Now when she enters battle, she immediately summons the obelisk over here. As we can see, the domain, and we can see the 2 masks that she provides. Now she'll provide the normal mask over here, and then we have the ember mask with the ruby inside of it. Now this is the supercharged mask over here that grants additional benefits to your allies. And as we can see, she continually provides shields and protection for her allied heroes. Now as we can see, there is no duration limit on this obelisk over here. So that means she'll constantly be able to provide the additional attack rating buffs for the entire duration of battle. So let's have a look at how she uses her ultimate skill. So as we can see, she leaps into the air and she summons a little dragon-like statue over here, which as it charges up, it'll shoot a massive fire and destroy all the enemies on the battlefield. There we go. She's using her ultimate once again. And she's continually generating energy and supplying that excess energy to her allied heroes. So let's have a look at how she does at a much higher level deficit. Now, what teams will she do extremely well in? Now, she'll do well in static-based teams. So what that means is if your allies remain in the same position, then she'll constantly be able to provide those secondary buffs for her allies. As we can see here, this is one of the teams where the teams are not static and the enemy or my allied heroes will move into the enemy lines, such as Mulan over here and Geralt, who will move into the enemy lines. Then we have other teams over here, which once again, they'll also move into the enemy lines. However, we have a team over here that remains static throughout the entire duration of battle. Now, from the specific battle here, we can see that she does a significant amount of damage. Even if she's not necessarily placed in static based teams. She also can do a significant amount of damage to the enemy heroes. So let's have a look at how she does in this specific battle. So when she starts the battle, she immediately summons her domain over here, provides masks for your allies to deal more damage and constantly steal energy from the enemies. And there we go, there's the ultimate over here that she's using. And once it charges up, it deals massive amount of AoE damage to all the enemies. And from her ability over here, we can see that she's constantly feeding energy into my allies. And in some cases, they can use their ultimates back to back within a couple of seconds. So let's speed up this battle over here. Now, as we can see, she's supercharging her allies. And as we can see, all of my allies have the Ember Mask applied to them, which deals more damage and allows my allies to steal the enemy's energy. So if you have an extremely control heavy base team where you can group the enemies up, this will allow all of your allies, such as Odin, Grizzle, constantly be stealing energy, permanently using their ultimates back to back and dealing massive amounts of damage to the enemies. So there we go, we are fighting the last enemy over here, and we can see that in most cases, most of my allies have their energy above 65%, where they can essentially become immune to control effect. What is the minimum investment level that I would recommend into Awakened Safiya? Now, I would recommend, similar to other Awakened heroes, getting her to 30 SI, 9 furniture, and 60 engravings, as this fully unlocks her potential, giving your allies necessary buffs such as the 40% increase to attack rating, the immunity to control effects based on where your allies are, whether they're in the domain or out. And this also provides a significant amount of shields, as we can see over here, which can provide a massive amount of tankiness and survivability for your allies so they can survive longer and deal more damage to the enemies.